22 часа 28 минут. Масса.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Dragon before those fights.
Welcome to Spacevidcast 517 for Saturday, October 27th, 2012. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me, as always, is the beautiful, lovely, wonderful, and talented Gary Ann Higginbotham. We'll be your hosts for this epic show today. Let's get started. I'm excited for the show. That's where that all came from. So let's get straight into it. And nice shirt. First off, we have the Expedition 3334 launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. This is the next expedition going up to the International Space Station, and being that we're a space show, we've got a little bit of launchy coverage, so here you go.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ignition. Liftoff of Kevin Ford, Evgeny Tarokin, and Oleg Novitsky as they head on a 2-day trip to the International Space Station.
Feels good. 35 seconds.
30 seconds into the flight. Good first stage performance. The Soyuz delivering 102 tons of thrust from its 4 boosters and single engine. The first stage of the Soyuz measures 68 feet in length and 24 feet in diameter. It is burning liquid fuel for the first 2 minutes and 6 seconds of the flight.
50 seconds. Pressure's nominal. Everything's okay on board. Pitch. Yaw. Rotation nominal.
1 minute, 10 seconds into the flight. Velocity is 1,100 miles per hour already.
Remember, still good.
Seconds.
80 seconds, all parameters are nominal. Everything's fine on board.
1 minute, 30 seconds into the flight. Everything looking green. The crew is reporting that everything is fine.
Seconds, thrusters are nominal. We heard alarm. Inaudible. But everything is okay on board.
1 minute, 54 seconds into the flight, the escape tower has been jettisoned.
120 seconds. Everything's okay on board.
The 4 strap-on boosters have now been jettisoned. These have completed their job and have dropped away at an altitude of 28 statute miles. The Soyuz is now traveling about 3,350 miles per hour.
So that was a little bit longer than we normally show, but I just thought it was kind of cool with the strap-on boosters falling away. I thought it looked nice. So it like this what I'm trying to say, like cloverleaf effect that kind of happened. Yeah, it's kind of neat. So moving along, Blue Origin is, for those who don't know, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon.com, has a rocket company called Blue Origin.
With the best logo ever.
Okay. Actually, I don't know that I know their logo. What is their logo?
There's a reason you don't know their logo.
Why?
Remember Apple's old logo before it was the apple?
Yeah. Oh, is it like that?
It's like that, but more complicated.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Ew.
so best logo ever. Go look it up.
Ew. So Blue Origin, they won one of the NASA awards for trying to get humans to the International Space Station. Now, they haven't gone for the latest round of funding, so there's the latest round, which is called CCI They didn't go for that, but for their previous round, in order to get the award money, you have to actually hit series of milestones. One of those milestones is a launch abort system, and check it out, here's their kick butt launch abort system. Ooh, hey, there's a graphic that goes with it. Oh, that's...
Don't do that.
We're going to put the graphic up in a bit.
Go ahead.
2, 1, escape.
Dude.
Seriously. It's like the best model rocket ever.
Kind of, right? So that was... that was a solid fuel forcing that thing off the pad at pretty freaking fast speeds. Yeah, so there you go. There's the launch abort system.
600 feet.
As it very slowly slides back down to Earth on parachutes. That would be their capsule. Feels like NASA TV right now.
It does. Maybe we should be whispering. As you can see, they have 3 parachutes there. There's really no need for 3 parachutes per se, but they're a lot easier to pack than one great big parachute. Is that better?
That's great. There you go.
The choice of blue and orange was made so you could see it against the sky as well as the ground.
Vehicle is safe.
Actually, why do they use blue? I don't... Orange... That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So we thought that was really cool.
We did think it was really
right?
cool.
I mean, that thing was not kidding around. Actually, this is one of the... So everyone's like, I hate solid fuel. Not everyone, but a lot of people are like, I hate solid fuel. Solid fuel is terrible.
Just the loud ones.
Just the loud ones are like that. Solid fuel does have a use. Launch abort systems. You need, basically, when your rocket is exploding below you, which is when you need to use your launch abort system,
Right.
you need something that's going to ignite very quickly and very forcefully, and you don't want it to shut off. And that would be solid fuel, right? You want it to go whoosh as fast as you can away from where you're at right now. You only need it for a few seconds to get far enough away from the big, giant, exploding rocket beneath you.
Right.
So, yeah, they used a solid fuel stage for that, and you saw how quickly they said... The chat room said they wanted to see it again, so I'll just show the beginning part again. Here you go.
2, 1, escape.
That's true. If you blink, you did kind of miss it, I suppose.
Jesus. There are humans on that thing. Well, there would be humans.
There would be.
There weren't
are
in
right
that
now.
test, but man, there would be humans on that. That's just epic.
Scary.
All right, so moving right along, and as ArcDude said, reliability is key. And yeah, solid fuel tends to, when you light it, it goes. Coming home tomorrow, Sunday morning, is the SpaceX Dragon capsule. This was the first mission under the, what am I trying to say, commercial resupply program. First official mission, the second time they've birthed to the International Space Station. But the first time was a test, like, look, we can do this kind of mission.
Right.
This was an actual, here's your cargo kind of thing. And they're going to be bringing back around 1 ton worth of cargo back from the International Space Station. And that is a capability we lost with the space shuttle. When we retired the space shuttles, we could bring back a little bit of cargo on the Soyuz, and we could certainly take garbage off of the space station and have it burn up in the atmosphere.
Right.
But we lost the ability to actually recover cargo. So there's a ton of science experiments, grossly blood and urine, and some damaged International Space Station parts that they want to bring back to Earth and kind of look at and see why they're damaged, kind of fix them and maybe send them back up. So,
in case anyone's wondering, this is a picture from the International Space Station where you can see Dragon module birthed there, I suppose. I always want to say docked, but that's not correct. Birthed to the International Space Station, overlooking what some people are calling the Frankenstorm. That is Hurricane Sandy, about to bombard the U.S.'s East Coast. East Coast.
You know, and actually, staying on this graphic for a moment. Well, no, I'll just get off there. It's pretty, which is why I chose that particular image.
It's pretty.
One of the things we didn't add into the show, but I probably should have, is that Frankenstorm is going to delay Orbital Sciences rocket. They've been doing some testings at the Mars launch facility, which is the Massachusetts. I don't remember what it is. Mid-Atlantic. I don't know what it is. It stands for something.
Not actually on Mars, unfortunately.
Not on Mars, yeah. Someone in the chat room remind me what the Mars launch facility stands for. The Frankenstorm is going to hit there. Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport. There you go.
Nice.
I know, I got the spaceport without it being in the chat room. It's in Virginia. Yeah, I said Massachusetts, and I was like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah, Mid-Atlantic. So anyhow, they're delayed because of the storm. So they're safing the vehicle at this point. And I can't really blame them for that because, you know, this thing looks like it's going to be freaking epic.
Somebody earlier had tweeted out how they went to the grocery store and lines are out the door and there was no water to be found. And then he added jokingly, oh, maybe I'll just try Mars.
You should go to the moon. There's plenty of water on the moon. It's a lot closer.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's the start. Just show you one more time. I'm going back to images for whatever twice on the show.
Yeah.
But I know it's twice I've done that. But there you go. There's the storm. There's Dragon, and Dragon will be coming home early tomorrow morning. I want to say it's like a 7:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
It lands in the Pacific, so the storm isn't going to be an issue.
Correct. It shouldn't be an issue. That's correct.
Yeah, I shouldn't say won't be, but shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. So, in addition, moving right along, one of the things that they're going to be doing up on the space station with their expedition crew is they've got another ammonia leak. And if it seems like they have a lot of ammonia leaks on the station, they do. It's just they just kind of tend to leak ammonia. The problem is they're leaking ammonia fast enough that even if they were to just refill it like they normally do, it would just leak right back out pretty much at the same rate.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where it could run out by the end of 2012 if they should just let it go the way that it is, which is kind of a scary thing all the way around. And it does have a tendency to leak very, very little bit, but it's been enough where it's sort of been manageable. And the reason that this is a big issue is that the ammonia is kind of used as a coolant.
Not kind of. It is used as a coolant.
It's used as a coolant.
And when you think about it...
You're the one who always talks in definitives, and I always speak in the most passive voice I can find, so I apologize. It's
not kind of a coolant, it's a coolant.
It's a coolant for the space station, and you don't want that thing to get too hot. So.
Right, well, you need to get the heat away from the station. The computers and electrical equipment generates heat, and there's nothing to absorb that heat.
Right.
Like here on Earth, we've got atmosphere, and we've got just stuff around it that will absorb...
labs.
We have what?
Labs. I was making
a
joke. Yeah, lab.
Really? That was your joke?
Sorry, go on.
Terrible joke.
You're right.
But you don't have that in space, and so you need to absorb that and disperse it somehow, and we use ammonia for that. If we lose our ammonia cooling system on the station, we have to start shutting massive swaths of the space station down. We had to do that earlier this year, actually, as a matter of fact. Was it the ammonia this time? Or
I don't think it was the ammonia.
I thought it was this time I think it was we have had to do stuff for the ammonia issues before, but I think earlier this year it was the solar panels.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Solar panels. Yeah. So anyhow, the chat room has asked why the International Space Station folk just don't open a window like I do at home when it gets too warm. That's a great question. We'll answer that in a future show. Well, let's just skip that. I'll go to this one because I think this is really freaking cool. Much like last week, we talked about ESO, and I couldn't remember the acronym. It's the European Space Observatory, if I remember correctly. We talked about them because they had found a Earth-like planet. This time, they've released a massively huge image. This is a gigapixel mosaic of some parts of the Milky Way. And you'll notice we've got a really slow zooming going on here. I want to put this into perspective. First, the original image is over 20 gigabytes in size. Sorry, the chat room is yelling at me. I got it wrong last week too. So ESO, European Southern Observatory. There you go. So you'll notice we're doing a really slow zoom in. This is the lowest resolution they have on their website, and we're still able to zoom in pretty far into the graphic. When you get the full resolution image, it's so large that my, first off, it took about 5 minutes to open in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Then I tried to resize it down to half of its size.
Yeah.
The half resolution version was still too large to save as a TIFF image, even under compression. So then I tried to half it again, and that was still too large to save as a TIFF image. And none of these images were openable by my video editing software, so I could do a nice slow zoom in for you guys. So this thing is freaking insane. It is epic.
Would you say someone can maybe get lost in all of those pixels?
Someone could get lost in all of these pixels. I think it's just a beautiful image, and yeah, it's just really freaking cool. So there you go. You can grab that. There, I'll throw the banner up one more time for you. So here's the banner. Hit that bit.ly link at the bottom. Otherwise, hit our Wikipedia page, and that will actually give you a direct link to where you can download any one of these images, either the original image, the 20-some-odd gig, and then they've got variants going down from there because that file's so large, it's very difficult to open and work with. So you can get slightly smaller versions of that particular file. All right, when we come back. Oh, Felix. Talking smack about Mars. Let's talk about...
Not just Mars, but NASA in general,
Yeah.
Virgin Galactic, and human exploration.
Well, I'm not sure if he's wrong about Virgin Galactic, but we'll talk about Felix and some of his comments when we come back after this break.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fumble little fashion lines. Filled with awesome expectation. This girl's a fascination. And nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking. She's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving. Through the heat, keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking. She's fire walking to be free.
So, do you want to sum up what first off, why don't you talk about what Felix did and why people are listening to him right now?
So first of all, it pains me that we're doing a second show where the main topic
in a row
is Felix Baumgartner and his record-breaking jump from what people have called near space, which is just kind of stuff, but we'll ignore that part, from farther up than anyone else.
That's correct. And we talked about that last week. You know, it's not space. It's not even halfway to space.
It's just really, really far away.
It's not even really that near to space, but it's still very impressive what he did. He fell from a place where there's not a whole lot of atmosphere, and he could have very easily spun out of control and died.
Right. And so we give him credit for that.
We do.
The unfortunate thing is that because the word space has been attached to this story...
Incorrectly, mind you.
Then there's other people who call themselves reporters who've taken it upon themselves to ask Felix all of his thoughts and opinions about an entire industry of which he has no part of.
Right.
So, Felix has said that he just thinks it's completely ridiculous that NASA has been spending all of this money about going to Mars, that's tax dollars at work, and it's just completely ridiculous, and it doesn't make any sense, and the only reason, you know, he's talked to NASA people, and the only reason we're going to Mars is so we can learn more stuff about Earth, and why don't we just invest that money into Earth sciences? As if NASA isn't doing such a flipping thing.
So, but hang on, that is the same argument that a lot of people make. Why are we spending money up there when we've got issues down here?
My issue with him is that he said, I've talked to NASA people, and he said that the only reason that we're going to Mars is so we can learn more about Earth. That's not the only reason that we're going to Mars. There's 1,004 different reasons why we're going to Mars. That may be one of them, and it makes it sound like as if we're not doing anything down here whatsoever, which is complete crap in so many different ways.
You're
not
angry.
To mention,
wow.
Has anyone even given a second thought, I don't know, maybe Felix himself, about the equipment that he used to make the jump that he did, that maybe some of that could have come from NASA, that he so thinks is complete crap, that they're doing anything with humans anymore? Just totally irks hurts me so bad, it's ridiculous.
Actually, it is not the brightest move on his part, right? Because Red Bull decided to advertise this as a jump from the edge of space, or however it was. A lot of the space geeks, us included, were excited, and we were watching. And the next thing you don't want to really do, excuse me, is turn around and then insult the very people who were excited and passionate about what you were doing and saying you're doing a really great thing. Because now what we're forced to do, well, not really forced, but what we're going to do, is say the exact opposite, which is, yeah, you did something that was very impressive, but you don't seem to know a whole lot about space or why we go to Mars.
Of course he doesn't know anything about space because he didn't actually go there.
You don't have to go to... I've never gone to space, and I know a little bit about it.
It so makes my skin crawl. It's ridiculous.
As Helldesk says, he jumped from near high altitude.
Thank you. That makes me feel much better. Look, I'm blotchy. You can see, like, I'm so warm.
So, the question then is, why do we go to Mars? Because what he's saying is not an uncommon comment.
Right.
We've heard other people say, we've got so many problems down here, why are we spending money up there? Why are we going to Mars? Why are we looking at the moon? USKO would say at that point, no, really, why are we looking at the moon? So then, first off, I would love to hear your comments. Why should we go to Mars? Why should we put rovers on Mars? Curiosity being a good example. Why should we put humans on Mars? Why should we spend money in space? Leave your comments on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, any social media that we're attached with, and we will we'll air them in the third segment of the show, and we've got comments from last week's show. Let me tell you why I think we should be going to Mars. And that is, Mars was, we believe at one time, a very Earth-like planet, and it is dead now. So that happened without human intervention.
Mars killed itself.
Mars killed itself, right? Now, the thing with Earth is, Earth will eject humanity as a species. It will get rid of us long before Earth dies. And everyone talks about how we're killing the Earth. No. What will happen is we will bring Earth to a level that it will no longer be habitable by humans at all, and we will, as a species, be wiped out. Earth will go on long after that. Earth will be just fine. But what happened to Mars? Is that going to happen to Earth? What was on Mars? Was there life there? Is there still microbial life on Mars? Is there water there? And water is important. Well, we know there's water there now, but where are these huge underground geysers of water? Where are all these resources? So, in my opinion, the reason we need to go is so that we can get off of Earth and live in these hostile environments. So when something does happen to Earth, not if, but when something does happen to Earth, we have been for thousands or hundreds of thousands of years living off of our home planet and know how to do it, which means our species will survive. We will go on. Our intelligence will remain. And we'll continue to grow as a people. Redundancy. Felix probably had redundancy in the computer systems used to bring his balloon up. Why is there no redundancy in our entire species? That seems a little bit silly to me. Now, there are people who will argue against me. They will say, well, we can't even take care of our own planet. Why would we, so forth and so on.
We've ruined one,
why ruin another? And I think that's just a very short-sighted way of looking at it. For a long time, we didn't understand what was going on, and then we started to, what happened was, then we went to space. Then we went to the moon, and we took a picture of our own planet from an alien body looking back down, and we saw how fragile and small our home world was. And we went, oh!
So, if it weren't for going to space in the first place, we could have theoretically already wiped out our species or been way further along in the process of wiping out our species?
It's impossible to say, right? You don't know, but you can
theoretically.
Not even, I mean, you can point to our journey to the moon is an awakening moment. Shortly thereafter, after those images came out, the Earth movement kind of came around, right? The green movement.
Yeah, not even the moon, even Yuri Gagarin. Yuri Gagarin's flight was in 1962. So that's already early 60s. And yeah, the Earth Day and all that other fun stuff and all the hippies and the Greenpeace and the tree huggers, and not that I'm against any of it, I'm just saying it all kind of came about all right around the same time, and we didn't even have to get to the moon. We didn't get to the moon until when? 69?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
You best know when we went to the moon.
I know, it took me a second.
There are a few things that I will require of you, but you best know when we went to the moon.
Yes, dear.
There are actually a few interesting comments in the chat room. Harbles 01? Is Harbles a new user?
No.
Oh, all right. Then we need to develop the infrastructure to survive independently, which will take many years. We have to start now. The point being, you don't start when it's already You don't start when it's already broken. You start before it's broken. So when it does get broken, you've already got a solution in place. If it's already broken, you're too late. Let's see here. Why do we go to Mars? Why do we jump from the edge of space? How hypocritical! Right?
Which is from One Kill Wonder, which makes me wonder, if that person actually made an account just to sign in, just to give us that, which is awesome. No, exactly though. That's a really good point, particularly from Felix's point of view of why even try to do these things in any way, shape, or form.
Why jump from a balloon?
Why jump from a balloon? And there you go. And for sure they just did. Just to break a record. Well, yeah, okay, awesome. But so then why not go to Mars just to break a record? Why not go further? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny to me that somebody who had a particular mindset doesn't think to apply that same exact mindset to other bigger, more interesting, fascinating, better for humanity things.
Yeah,
it's just
space is one of the best things that has ever happened to humanity. It has actually brought peace. It gives us a chance to show the best side of our knowledge base as opposed to the worst side of our knowledge base. It allows us to explore and do what we've always done since forever. It increases our knowledge base, and it gives us redundancy. I can think of very few things that are wrong or bad with space, and frankly, personally, I believe that space will be the next ginormous economy. Right? You look at least in America, you look at some of the big, huge movements. You had the Industrial Revolution, the Computer Revolution. I'm going to also say the Internet Revolution, even though they're kind of tied. I think the next thing will be the Space Revolution. While we had a space age, there was no giant, this turned into a huge economy kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, it turned into a small economy, but not a huge one. I think it will turn into the largest economy humanity has ever seen, and I think that will happen in our lifetime.
That's also a really good point. Somebody else was kind of tweeting also, because this has been a flutter since this story broke. Twitter and Facebook and pretty much all of my space friends have been going crazy about the things that Felix has said, and one of his arguments was that the $3 billion to get a rover to Mars to, only understand Earth, as it were, from Felix's point of view, that money wasn't just put into a sack and thrown out to Mars to sit on Mars and just hang out there. Like, that money represents jobs and, a small economy, as you were saying. It's science, and the money that we're going to make off of the science, the things that we learn from being at Mars, it's going to come back and replenish. I mean, it's just ridiculous to think. I'm sorry. I'm so flustered I can't even make full sentences.
So I think
I'm so sorry.
The point of this is hopefully we've given you a few compelling reasons why we should be going to Mars.
Right.
Dave had another good point, which is if there's microbiology on Mars, what impact will knowing its chemical structure have on our own medical knowledge? USKO says, why explore subatomic particles? It's not like it could lead to a whole new way of transmitting energy on a civilizational level. And then... there are tons of reasons that we shouldn't just go to Mars, shouldn't just go to the moon, but continue to explore all things.
Yeah. Including Earth, which we are also doing.
And there's no reason you have to do one
you
or
just wait
the
till
other.
After dark, I'm just going to get all kinds of words out.
You don't have to do one or the other. In fact, you shouldn't do one or the other. You should do all of them. Move forward with all of it. Try to gain as much knowledge in everything that we can. That's what makes our species so awesome, is that we can do this. And it isn't a waste of money. Knowledge is always, always worth it. So Felix did an amazing thing. He put his life on the line and did something better than any other human in the history of humanity has done before. But that does not make him an expert in space. It is also possible that he was taken out of context, although, based on how I read it, I don't think he was. So keep that in mind. Just, he did something great, but he doesn't understand space. I think that's what this really boils down to. Love to hear what you have to think. Once again, set it up on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, Twitter. We'll post those links inside of the show notes so that you can get to all of our social media sites really easily. Someone last week mentioned that, said, hey, you want us to post on all these things, but you don't give us those links. So, sorry, we'll do that from now on. All right, when we come back, comments from last week's show and what you guys thought. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, Bill Nye here, CEO of the Planetary Society, and we'd like you to write to the President of the United States concerning the budget for planetary science, for planetary exploration. As you may know, we've asked you to write to Congress and to the Office of Management and Budget and the Office of Science and Technology Policy, and our people in Washington have studied the situation. And the next step, the key step, is to write to the President himself. Now, even if you don't like the President, we'd like you to write to him because he's the guy that can make that last little bit, that last thing happen to make sure that the budget for planetary science gets restored. We're talking about missions to Mars and Europa. You know, scientists have gone back through the budget, they've reconfigured things so that they've come up with a plan to explore Mars that will be acceptable to everyone. But we have to push that last little bit. Our people on the inside tell us that what we've been doing, or what you've been doing, is working. But we need to do this last step, and that's where you come in. Please visit planetary.org/SOS for Save Our Science. You can either send it in electronically right from there as you see it, or you could modify it a little bit and send it in. But we really want you to act now so that it gets in before the end of the year, before the next fiscal year 2014 budget gets established. This is where you and I can make a big difference. Please take action. You and I can change the future. Thanks very much.
Our people on the inside tell us.
They all have bow ties. Watch out for anyone with bow ties.
All of our people on the inside. Sorry, I always find that line
a little
odd, creepy. We are people on the inside. All right, let's take a look at comments that you guys had from us last week. And the first comes from Eric. He says, I want that Occupy Mars t-shirt. I know it's epic, isn't it?
Shop.spacex.com.
Yeah, SpaceX made those shirts. You can buy them at shop.spacex.com. And yes, they are pretty freaking awesome.
And it's really cool because on the inside it shows you what the size is with a little dragon module.
It does. Yeah.
Cool.
It's fun. All right, this comes from Jason. Basically says, I know that SpaceX is planning to upgrade its Falcon 9 with a new Merlin M1D engines. And I'm going to let you read this on your own, but the gist of the message is, well, SpaceX keeps upgrading and advancing, and that's awesome because we always get the latest and greatest vehicles, but every time you do that, don't you have to recertify the vehicle for human rating? And isn't that incredibly inefficient?
Well, not just inefficient, but like scary, because you don't want to put humans on like, hey, yeah, we're pretty sure that this works okay and stuff. Let's put humans on top of it.
Well, keep in mind, SpaceX has not flown humans at this time. So It is possible that will change when humans get put on the vehicle. Mm-hmm. I don't actually know what SpaceX's stance on this, and my normal qualifier of I do have a day job at SpaceX. However, SpaceX and Spacevidcast are individual entities. The views and opinions expressed here have nothing to do with that of SpaceX, and vice versa. So this is Spacevidcast talking. I don't actually know. I'll say that yeah, you do have to recertify every single time. Mm-hmm. Right, you have to requalify it, and don't you have to requalify every single time anyway, though? No, you don't. So if it's like same old, it works, then totally cool. Yep, totally cool. It works. It's part of the reason why we haven't seen advancements in space for so long, and why we still use Russian engines on Delta rockets, is that they know they work. So you just don't see huge advancements there. SpaceX is one of the few companies who is working on propulsion enhancements and actively flying them.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. And it does suck that you have to requalify it, but at the same time, at least someone's doing it.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of my thought process on that. But you're right. Anytime if you're dropping major modifications to an engine on a vehicle, then yeah, you need to re-human certify that engine. But most of what SpaceX does is with human flight in mind. So I don't think it will be that hard for them to recertify. And generally speaking, once you get to that level, they'll probably have already recertified it.
I do appreciate that any company, while they're going all through these modifications and what have you, that it's only a cargo. I can appreciate that, though. And might as well, right? If you got the time and the space to do it. Perfect it, figure it out, do it now.
So this comment comes from Bill on our Facebook page at facebook.com/spacevidcast. If you can see the black sky in broad daylight, if you can see where the atmosphere ends and space begins, if you're so high up that you can't breathe, not just because of the lack of air, but because of the sheer awesomeness of the spectacle before you, then you are enjoying some of the coolness of being in space. So what if you're not, technically speaking, in orbit? Certainly, and that's talking about Felix's jump and our show last week, kind of trying to clarify that. But again, let's just show the infographics, right? I know they're still in feet, but he jumped from about 128,000 feet up.
Mm-hmm.
That is not even close to what's considered the minimum boundary of space. And keep in mind, the minimum boundary of space still isn't even orbit. That's kind of the agreed upon area.
Right.
A lot of scientists say, no, it's even further than that.
Right.
Right, so yeah, he was nowhere near space. He wasn't even close. I guess is the best way I can put it. Yes, he did do something awesome. Mm-hmm. And yep, would have been hard for him to breathe, but wasn't space. All right, and by the way, if it was space, well, no, we'll just leave it at that. Wasn't space. On our Google Plus page, David said, are you planning on maybe talking a bit about Skylon? Well, we actually have talked about Skylon before, and I'll say Skylon, actually much like we were talking about earlier.
Well, we haven't. You have.
I have talked about Skylon.
I get an earful about Skylon, man.
I love Skylon. I think it's awesome. Just like we were talking a moment ago about SpaceX and one of the few companies trying to push propulsion forward, Skylon is another entity trying to push propulsion forward. For those who don't know, it's basically a single stage to orbit engine for the most part. I mean, it's more than an engine, but the key technology here is the engine that converts from a jet engine to a rocket engine using the same fuels. Right. So you don't have to, if you're familiar with the staging process, if you watch go back and watch an old Apollo launch, or basically any rocket launch, but it's easiest to see in Apollo, I think. You go up with all these different stages, you're ascending, and then you've expelled so much fuel, and you've got these huge empty tanks on the bottom. You actually release that and let that drop back into the ocean, and then you ignite engines on the second stage, and then the second stage goes up, and depending upon the size of your rocket, you rinse and repeat.
Well, I mean, kind
rinse
of
and release, I suppose. Rinse and repeat
somewhere.
for however many stages your particular vehicle happens to have. Actually, even looking at that Soyuz rocket, you saw that they had the strap-on boosters. That was a staging process where we drop those up. Wow. Yeah, so
basically, yeah.
There you go. So
but
the
Skylon would not have that.
Nope, Skylon is basically the space shuttle like it should have been. It launches like an airplane, it lands like an airplane, and it goes all the way to orbit, carrying humans, technically speaking. So we're really excited about it. The only thing that I'm not excited about is the timeline that they keep quoting, which is like measured in decades. It's insane how long. Someone just needs to throw many billions of dollars to these guys and say, look, just do it fast, and be willing to make a few mistakes, blow some of these things up, learn what you need to know, and let's build these things. That's my opinion. So anyhow, go back, search our archives. You'll see a bunch more stories about Skylon.
What's the story? Fast, cheap, and safe. You can always have 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Yeah. This was an interesting comment. I'll let you. You want to take this one? This one's from Ben on our YouTube channel.
Sure. Sure. I'll read it first, and then we can discuss. So, Ben says, I think NASA should kill all of their human space flight programs, stop Orion and SLS because we all know that they're never going to fly, move some of the money over to planetary sciences, use it for making habitats for Mars and the Moon, and then use the extra cash, because apparently it's not going to take that much, for making missions into the solar system with a certain company under a contract, because companies can do a lot more with a lot less. So I find this particular comment to be contradictory.
A little bit.
Or, as Ben likes to say, a little incongruent.
A little incongruent. That is a thing that I do like to say, yes.
Only in that, why even... again, I'm a little flustered. If you're making habitats on the Moon and Mars, isn't that part of the human exploration?
So why cancel human spaceflight only to build things that you would need for human spaceflight?
Like, totally, we're never going to go there, you guys, but totally let's build houses and stuff. Like,
so
that part I don't understand.
So I think what we're trying to say is, we're not, we think you didn't convey your point quite like we think, because...
We didn't understand what you were trying to say. I'm just going to say it like that.
We're trying to get at, no, we shouldn't kill human spaceflight, especially if we're going to build habitats. In fact, I think we should step up our human spaceflight efforts, but not at the cost of planetary or robotic efforts. We need all of them, all at the same time.
Absolutely.
Right.
Secondly, I don't think that's the way it works.
And I'm not convinced.
I don't think it's like poker, like where NASA gets like, you know, you're playing a couple different hands and you've got however much money, you go, I'm just going to put some here and I'm going to put some there and I'm going to put some here, but oh no, I'm just kidding. I don't want that hand anymore. I'm just going to move it over. I don't think it works that way. Like, I don't think you just get like, here's your money, use it how you wanna, and if you cancel programs, you still get that money.
Right, so the chat room is pointing out, he's saying that to use contractors to travel and use money to make a colony. Basically, I think what he's saying is, don't use the government to do this anymore. Because SLS is probably, the Space Launch System, had to think about it, the Space Launch System is probably not going to get built. It's going to get cancellationed. And, right?
So, okay, so then, in that case, if that's what he is saying, then he is kind of echoing some things that we here at Spacevidcast have said before, which is, like, maybe don't have NASA do all of it. Maybe have SpaceX and other smaller companies do this part of it, and... Right?
Yeah, I think what needs to happen here for the commercial industry to take off, we've seen SpaceX kind of prove it.
Right.
But you need more than just SpaceX.
Yeah, well,
right?
Yeah.
A single company is not a commercial industry. It's a single company. We need other companies. Orbital, we need...
Blue
Origin, Masten Space Systems. We need a bunch of these guys. Now, they're all doing great things.
Totally.
But we need... bigger, more of them. Hear that, Dave?
Bigger, more.
I want you on the moon in 10 years. So, or Mars. I don't really care.
Dave's like, I'm working on it.
I do it! You're not building rockets. You're just sitting in front of a camera. So, that's my Dave impression, by the way. I thought that was pretty good.
It's also his Carrie Ann impression.
Also my Carrie Ann impression.
Keep going.
No, Carrie Ann's higher. So, I don't even remember my point anymore. Oh, my point was, in order for us to start moving away from government space and into commercial space, we need more than a company doing, you know, low Earth orbit.
Right.
Now, one could argue Boeing and Lockheed are two other commercial entities. But I would argue back saying, but the only things they do are for governments. They need to kind of do stuff on their own.
Right.
But then one could argue that the only thing SpaceX does is first. So we need the industry to, well, right?
Yes.
They're docked to the International Space Station under government contract right now.
So anyway.
So we need the industry to be a little more broad.
Their secondary
little
payload
bigger.
wasn't government, though.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. So, yeah.
I have to defend SpaceX.
Yep. Well, no. I'm just saying. So I think that's what we need before we can get to that point. All right, moving right along. This is a question we found on Reddit. This wasn't
It wasn't sent to us. We went out and found the question.
We went out and found the question, and I sometimes, you know, I know we're a space show and we do ire and stuff, but sometimes we think it's better to bring it back down to the basics, which is, would it be more expensive to send something like a rover to the moon than it would be to send people to the moon? And the answer is, it is more expensive always, at all times, in all versions of space, to send people. And the reason that you have that discrepancy is that people require life support.
Yep. Even if you don't count, and I love how everyone always makes these graphs and comparisons, and this is why, because, you know, humans have to eat, and then you've got the waste, and then they have to breathe,
and the weight
you've
of
got
the food.
Yeah, all of that fun stuff, and I'm like, and you know, it's a human. I know you can't put a price on life, but at the same time, it's a human.
So the reason rovers are cheaper is there's no life support required, which means no food, no water,
right.
no atmosphere, no nothing.
Right.
They also don't need a return vehicle, which also doesn't require additional, you know, rocket fuel and
right.
systems and stuff to build that. Because to date, every mission we had to space has had some sort of return vehicle for humans. You basically need, at a minimum, you need twice the amount of rocket.
Right.
That's not a fair number, but you know,
But
we're going to use it anyhow. Twice the number of rocket to put humans into space so that you can get them back as well. Now, as Zigger points out, human colonists do not require return vehicles, but we're not to that level yet. So there could be a point in time when it costs the same to put humans and rovers in space. I don't see a time when it costs less to put humans in space.
I would like to see a comparison, an actual comparison of, like, these are, you know, here are some sample salaries of the scientists who study everything, these are the salaries of the people who make the vehicle, all of that fun stuff. This is what it takes to house a vehicle while it's being made, before it even gets up there. This is what it takes to keep the vehicle going, and all of that stuff. And then conversely, here are all the people who train all of the astronauts, and this is what their salaries look like, and really get down into the crazy nitty-gritty of what it actually costs.
Right.
I think that would be interesting.
So that's our show for this week. Now, before we go, I did want to point out a couple things. Before our shows, we've been putting this graphic up. This is kind of the new look and feel.
Maybe you've seen it.
Maybe you've seen it. This is our yesterday's tomorrow kind of feel for Spacevidcast. And if you like that desktop, that kind of image, you can go to spacevidcast.com/downloads. You can download a computer wallpaper. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's awesome, and that's freaking high resolution. We've got a second variant with just the rocket. And yeah, it's designed to look a little bit retro, kind of look into the future. That's what we're going for. So yeah, if you wanted to grab that, feel free. Spacevidcast.com/downloads. Also remember, we've got our Wikipedia page, wiki.spacevidcast.com. Has all the show links for this particular show, and the future shows and past shows in there, and a lot of really great information. And of course, we'd love to hear from you. Comment on our social media pages, facebook.com/spacevidcast, twitter.com/spacevidcast or @spacevidcast, Google Plus, which is google.com/plus/1048.
Some of those, just search for Spacevidcast.
And you just search for Spacevidcast, you'll find it. I know. Thanks, Google, for not giving us a custom URL. That's great. Am I bitter? I don't know. And I think you guys did a fantastic job of posting the longer comments. And here's where it really comes down to. If you've got a short little snippet, slam that in YouTube. If you actually have a longer comment like Jason did, you want to really get a good idea out there, throw that in Google+, because we have the really good, deep, awesome conversations happen on our Google+ page. So kind of know where to go. And then Facebook is Facebook. So on that note, I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching. One last reminder, next week's show will be the last show. If you honor daylight saving time, it will be the last show at this particular time. If you do honor daylight saving time and you change your clock backward and forward, then it will be 1 hour earlier for you next week. I'm sorry, not next week, the week after next week. We're just letting you know in advance that there will be a possible show change for you. If you do not honor daylight saving time and you do not change your clocks throughout the year, then you will not make any change whatsoever. The show will be the exact same time it normally is, which is 2100 Coordinated Universal Time. So on that note, I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching. Stay with us. Spacevidcast After Dark is up next, and we'll see you in a week.